Students, we're in example 3, section 6.4, and now we're going to work with subtraction. So it's nothing to be afraid of. We just need to be really careful with our signs and take care of the signs. That's what's going to mess you up, is going to be you just did not subtract. Maybe you subtracted in the first term but added in the second one. That tends to be where a lot of mistakes are made. So I'm going to try and help you out with that. So let's take a look. Let's start with the horizontal method. We've got 2x minus 4x squared. 2x squared minus 4x squared. And 2 minus 4 is negative 2. Now, the 6 is kind of a lone ranger. It's all by its little lonesome. There's nothing to subtract from it. So that 4x squared is the only thing there. So if you were to ask, like, what's the constant number that's there with the 4x squared, I would say it's a 0, okay? If you don't see a constant number, then it's understood to be 0, and 6 minus 0 is 6. And that's as good as you can get it right there, okay? Now, if you're doing the stacking method, the vertical method like I showed you, make sure that you are, I don't know what's wrong with my 6, it's not drawing right. There we go, my weird looking 6 there. And underneath it, let's draw a big, fat, thick subtraction sign, and then we're going to line up the 4x squared and then the constant number 0. Okay, so do what it says. 2 minus 4 is negative 2x squared. 6 minus 0 is positive 6. Okay, so I think if you take care of your signs, I really think you're going to be okay with this. All right, let's take a look at letter B. We've got a to the 4th minus 3a to the 4th. Well, this first a to the 4th has an understood 1 out in front. A lot of students, because they don't see a number, they really accidentally treat it like it's a 0, and they'll go 0 minus 3 and get negative 3, and you can't do that. There is a number there in front of your variable. There always is. If you don't see a number, it's 1. Okay, so 1 minus 3 is negative 2. And then that's a to the 4th, so we've dealt with those. Now let's do negative 2a minus a negative 3a. Now sometimes when we're doing this mentally, we're just not quite seeing what we're saying in our head, so it might behoove you to write it down. Negative 2 minus a negative 3. And then you go, oh yeah, I see what I'm doing there. Cross out my double negatives. It's really negative 2 plus 3, which is positive 1a. Now the last one is this little Lone Ranger right here. There's a plus 1 there. Now don't just drop that down, okay? You are subtracting it from something. Now I don't see that something up here in the a to the 4th minus 2a. So when you don't see a constant number, you're gonna imply that, hey, that's got to be 0 there, okay? So what is 0 minus 1? 0 minus 1 is a whole lot different than 0 plus 1. So we want to make sure we don't just drop down a positive 1, because it's not positive. 0 minus 1 is negative 1, okay? Now, if you're stacking, then we want to show all of our coefficients. So there's 1a to the 4th minus 2a plus 0. And then we're going to put a big fat subtraction sign there. And then we're going to do 3a to the 4th minus 3a plus 1. And you're going to do the same thing. Each column will undergo subtraction. 1 minus 3. That's negative 2a to the 4th. Negative 2 minus negative 3. Remember, if you can't see it, write it out. Negative 2 minus a negative 3. That's positive 1a. 0 minus 1. That's negative 1. So the scariest thing is going to be, remember to subtract and to do it for all of the columns that you have there, for all the numbers that are there. The biggest mistake I've seen is usually right here. Most students, they're like, hey, I don't have a number in the first quantity, and they'll just drop the number down. That's okay in addition, but in subtraction, you just miss the whole problem. okay, because you missed the sign. All right, let's look at letter C. If I do 3x squared minus, and remember that's a 1x squared, 3 minus 1 is 2, okay? Now I have this negative 2x, and I don't have anything in the other quantity. So treat that one as a 0x, looks like ox, but it's 0x. Negative 2 minus 0 is still negative 2. And then we're going to do 8 minus a negative 4. If you need to, out to the side, just do that real quick and go, oh, it's really 8 plus 4. So you get the right numbers and the right signs on those numbers. If you choose to stack, then you're going to line up your like terms, okay? So I've got my 1x squared. I don't have an x term, so call it 0x. And then I've got my negative 4 here. And remember, you're subtracting. That's why I make them really big and thick so my eye doesn't automatically assume I'm adding. I just put a big fat subtraction sign out there. 3 minus 1 is 2. Negative 2 minus 0 is still negative 2. 8 minus a negative 4 is positive 12. So be careful. I really think you can get this. It's just you've got to take care of your signs. With subtraction, there's a lot more at risk and a lot more to miss if you're not careful. Okay? So letter D, this is your extra credit problem. So either do it horizontally or vertically. And I will tell you, please, 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 horizontal people, please be careful with that number, okay? There's no constant number in the first term, in the first quantity, so you need to put one there so you have something to subtract that negative 5 from, okay? All right, good luck and bring your questions to class.